Welcome to Faith in Practice, presented by Higher Powered Sports, PT, the podcast where faith meets everyday life and vocational calling. Each episode, your host, Kurt Kessler, and his guest will explore how to live out your faith in your work, relationships, and daily challenges. Let's grow together and discover how to live out your faith with passion and purpose. Let's get started.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Faith in Practice podcast. You're stuck with just me today, but if you stick around, I hope we can all learn something about ourselves today. Today's episode is titled, Let Go and Let God. It's a common phrase in the Christian community. Anybody who knows me knows that I hate cliches. I hate mainstream fad words or phrases, stuff that you can find everywhere. But I chose this for the title of the podcast because there really is no other phrase that encompasses today's topic as well as this. So I'm going to take you behind the curtain to a recent phase of my life where I learned a very important spiritual lesson, one that will stick with me for a while. As I talked about in the introductory podcast, and as I will talk about frequently on both this podcast and the Higher Powered podcast, is my final few months at my job in traditional outpatient physical therapy. This time period was really the catalyst for my current mission and a period of a lot of spiritual growth for me. So just a quick summary. I completed my sports residency program in 2023. It's a year-long program, working full-time, stressful mentorship each week, plus roughly 10 extra hours every week of education and on-field coverage, high-stakes skills testing, studying, practice tests leading up to the 6-hour, $1,800 board exam, and it takes them 3 months to release the results. So it was a time period where I had a lot going on, and throughout residency, I felt really stressed. There was a lot at stake in terms of investment in the program and investment money-wise in the test. And it was like 15 months of doing 50 to 55-hour work weeks. I had a young child at home, and I expected to be stressed during this time. It was a lot. It was a lot of extra stuff on my plate. And towards the end of it, I was really struggling mentally. I would go to bed, wake up sometime between 2 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. and not because I wanted to or I planned to, but I would wake up and my resting heart rate would be in the high 80s or 90s when it's typically, in the 50s or low 60s for me. I'd wake up and I would think about my work schedule. How many evaluations do I have today? How many evaluation spots are open that could end up being filled? How many times am I double or triple booked? Then I'd think of the 3 or 4 people that I had scheduled that I wasn't sure what exactly was going on with them or the things that I wanted to or needed to look at with them. How am I going to organize my hour so that I can have time to assess what I need to without neglecting the other patient or two that are scheduled at the same time? And as soon as this process started, my heart rate would then go into the hundreds, and falling back to sleep was out of the question. I couldn't settle myself down. If I did happen to fall back asleep, I had my alarm set for 20 or 30 minutes earlier than it needed to be because I needed that time to lay on the floor with my dog, to find any bit of peace or comfort before starting the process of going through everything that had crossed my mind in the early morning hours. And this happened day after day for most of that 15-month span. And I was exhausted. My expectation was that once the residency was over, once the test was over, I'd go back to a regular work schedule and it would just go away. I'd go back to being relatively stress-free like I usually am, and that just didn't happen. The same cycle, same process continued to happen. I knew that I needed to get help because I was on the brink of a major meltdown, but I couldn't quit my job. It wouldn't do me any good to work for a new company because the issue that I was having was not specific to my clinic or the company that I was working for. So I ended up doing counseling. Now, I feel like I can speak for many people here. It's not easy to get started. There's a time period where you think you want it or think you need it, but tell yourself every reason why You're not going to? I don't have time. I don't want to pay for it. I should be able to deal with this on my own. Is it really going to help? And there is almost like a pride aspect to it. Like it hurts your pride to admit that you need help, but I needed it. I was actually nervous to make the phone call. I remember I was in my kitchen. I dialed the number and just kind of stared at it for a second. And then I pressed the send button because I needed it. So I ended up doing 5 sessions, and I learned some strategies to help get me back to sleep when I would wake up or help combat the stressful times throughout my day. But I learned more than that. I learned something very profound. My therapist said, "What were you like before the residency?" And I said, I didn't have much stress. I'd pray for my patients and my ability to help them. My mindset was do my best and God will take care of the rest. And my therapist said, "So what changed between the time before you started the residency and now?" I did the residency because I always want to push myself to be the best that I can be. I was given a specific skill set and a specific purpose. And if I'm not giving my best effort to be the best that I can be, then I am wasting the talents that God gave me. So my response to my therapist was, I did the residency so that I could know more, so that I could help people more, so that I would be able to have more answers. I felt like because I know more, I should now be able to control more. And as soon as it came out of my mouth, it was like a light bulb went off. I thought because I knew more, then I should be able to control more in terms of the outcomes that I was getting for my patients. And the funny thing is the outcomes were never an issue. I had some of the best outcomes in the whole company, but I learned that I thought that I should be able to control more. I thought just because I had more knowledge, I should have more control. And those two things don't equate. My knowledge does not equal more control. More knowledge means I had more knowledge. God still had the control, and I was trying to take that. Because that is something we can't take from God, I felt like I was chasing something I couldn't catch. Think about the anxiety that we get when things are beyond our control, whether it's health issues, relationships, accidents, investments, whatever it may be. When something is at risk and we don't control it, our natural response is anxiety. So the question I have for everyone listening, I want you to take a moment and think about what you're facing right now, or even in the past. What are you trying to control? Now, there are things that we can control. I'm not saying we're all on a roller coaster without seatbelts. We can control our thoughts. We can control our actions or our words or our responses to what is happening around us. But that's it. We can't control others. We can't control circumstances or the future. So what are you trying to control that you have no control over? What do you need to let go of and let God have? I don't know what that answer is for you. For me, at that time, it was I needed to let go of the patient outcomes because there are a lot of things that contribute to that. My work, sure, but the patient had to do their part. Maybe the doctors had to do their part. Things happening in the patient's life that had nothing to do with me. All I could do was pray for my patients, show up, do the best that I could, and let God handle the rest. Now I'm applying that same principle in my business. There are things that I can do to raise awareness for what I'm doing. There are ways that I could potentially drive business, but there are a lot of things that I can't control. I just have to do my best and trust that God will take care of the rest. And it's scary. I mean, if I sit at home and watch reruns of Friends all day, I wouldn't expect God to just, make 10 people appear that want to work with me. But I followed God into this chapter, and I trust that he will be faithful as he always has been.
It's time for Word Up.
Today's Word Up scripture is Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. It reads, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus." Some of the context surrounding this, it was written by Paul, who wrote this passage to the Philippians while he was under house arrest by the Roman Empire. But he's telling us, instead of worrying, we are called to pray, to give thanks, and to present our worries to God and know that He is in control of it. One of the pastors at our church said something really powerful recently. He said, "Take a piece of paper and write down the phrase, 'I am worried about,' and then list out all the things that you're worried about. Once you're done, erase or cross out where you wrote, 'I am worried about,' and write, 'God is in control of.'" It's so simple, but it's so true. It's so empowering, and it's so important. Anything that we're worried about is under God's control. No matter how big it is, no matter how small it is, how silly it is, how real it is, it's all under God's control. We just need to pray and know what we can do and what God can do. If you're out there and you're anxious about things that are beyond your control, let go and let God. If you need counseling, take the steps to do it. If you need to pray, take a moment and do it. I'm hoping that the Faith and Practice podcast can grow a community of believers that can help to support and uplift each other. As always, if there's anything I can do for you, the listener, feel free to reach out to me. You can find my contact information in the show notes or find me on Instagram at Higher Power Sports PT. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Faith in Practice. We hope you found inspiration and practical wisdom to help you live out your faith on and off of life's playing fields. If today's conversation resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Your support helps us continue sharing stories and insights that empower you to align your faith with your vocation. For more resources or to connect with us, visit hpsportspt.com. That's hpsportspt.com. Remember, your faith isn't just a part of your week, it's a part of your life. Let your light shine.